Toast. Toast. Yeah. Weird. It didn't show up when I was doing the thing. How funny. I am so funny. Oh, Lordy. Should probably put the mic somewhere close to my face. Oh, that's right. Um, I had gotten something. Yeah, this is going to be a funny episode because I kind of don't know where my head is. Somewhere. Way out in the water, see it swimming. I was swimming in the Caribbean. Animals were hiding behind the rocks. Yeah, except a little fish. Something, something. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Yeah, I don't know where my mind is. Oh, what is that? Even my mama thinks that my mind is gone, but I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. What is that? Been standing most alive, living in the gangster's paradise. Man, that's been a while. Erin said she was going to be here, so I'm just filling time with face noise. So I just keep singing stuff. um, yeah, we've actually got a bit of a show. Have we got a show? Erin, you're on mute.
Hello.
Show you how great I am.
Hi.
How do you think of this? How do you think of the camera setup?
I think you look great. It's very clear. The lighting is good.
Thanks. It's like right there.
Like
So
in front of your face.
yeah, I mean, it's doing exactly what it was supposed to. Because before, um, I had like too big of a tripod. It was supposed to sit on the floor, and now I
hmm
got one that fits on the desk, which is
hmm
great because now it's like right there. But at the same time, I'm still getting used to it because if I want to look at my screen, then my eyes track somewhere else
Yeah, you look like you're looking up a lot instead of at me.
because I'm like looking around the the camera. So when I look at this, am I looking at you?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh, 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 oh. Um, yeah, but I actually understand now why people get teleprompters. Um, so that they can look mostly at the screen.
Yeah.
But this is one of those skills that I have yet to master. Considering this is the first day of me using this particular thing. Generally, if I'm on a call or something, I just look at the screen and nobody cares.
Right. But new setup, day one.
New setup. I was singing before you arrived.
Oh,
As
I
soon as I
caught
could
the tail
sing
end.
again. What's that?
I said, I think I caught the tail end of it. Are you going to sing again?
Oh, I don't know. I was telling the listeners, the Parshendi, that I was just waiting for you and filling time until
Hmm.
you got here. Time, love, time, love, time, love. It's only a change of time.
See? Oh, sing again about it.
That was Josh Ritter, I believe. You know Josh Ritter?
I do know the name.
Yeah, I think he
Could
came
not tell you a single name of one of his songs off the
Change the
top of my
Time.
head.
That
There you
was what I
go.
was just singing. I had a dream, and dum da dum da dum diddy do dum dee dum da dum dee da dum. Yeah, I
This
think
is
he
not
came to Idaho. We put on a show when I was doing events.
nice.
Yeah.
Good get.
All right.
I
So
was going to say, this is not something the listener needs to know, but I'm going to say it anyway because this is real life. I just encountered a traffic problem. Six
what?
o'clock is the start of our call, and it's also like right after the children get home. So, like in the 10 minutes before this meeting, every bathroom is in use.
Oh,
Because I
yeah. And
wanted
I
to
was
come
like, oh, let me
upstairs,
just run to the bathroom real quick.
and there was a child in it. And I know because I wanted to come upstairs where my eye stuff is, and there was a child in it. So I used the bathroom downstairs, and then I was like, I don't have time to also go upstairs before the meeting. So I was like, oh, I need to like be
Do you want
prepared.
me to run down there and lick your eyeball?
Yes. Oh, it's
I will help you with this.
delicious. You are
I
so helpful. I am so
I
grateful.
will take on this challenge for you.
You are so chivalrous, and I love this about you.
I will lizard your eyeball.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So it will all be okay.
It'll all be okay. Did you get to use the bathroom?
I got to pee in the bathroom downstairs real fast.
Okay, great. Well,
So we're just going to go forth and conquer,
at least you won't be doing the pee pee dance the whole time we're on the call.
right?
I learned that phrase, like I say pee pee dance
Hmm.
because of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu teacher of mine.
Really?
He was explaining how to do an excellent arm bar. And he says you squeeze your knees together, right? Once you've got the guy's arm locked up and you bring it tight to your body. And then he's like, and then, you want to pinch your knees so his arm can't escape. And, the cue was, well, then you got to do the pee pee dance. And so the pee pee dance is, like you pinch your knees because you got to go.
That's really funny
And he's like, yeah, this is what I teach the kids class. And I just got into it. And now I teach the adults too. And so,
because it works.
because it works. And that he's so right. I remembered that shit.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So ironic that I think of pee pee dance and like ripping people's arms out of socket.
I know that's quite an association. Typical. We're here to change lives on this podcast.
Yeah. If your arm's not attached, that'll change your life. Huh? Okay, so speaking of life changing, um, this is what we wanted to get at is we had I think we've got a little bit more of a plan than we typically do for these podcasts, and we'll see if we can stick to it. This is so funny. We're trying to advocate for people to do planning shit, and
I
I'm
know.
like, this podcast shit, we just wing it. Um, which is funny because yeah, I want to wing it because I plan goddamn everything else. So
I
give me
know,
a
and
break, will you?
it's nice to just hang out and talk to you. We always have something to talk about
Right?
because I miss you during the day. So I'm like, oh, on Monday nights, I'm going to get to talk to my husband and it's going to be great.
And I miss you like the desert missed the rain.
Woo!
Um, so
I got excited.
what we're going to talk about today is the leadership equation, which I have recently fallen in love with. And I now judge all leadership against this equation.
It's a,
And
mhm.
to quote Count Adamar, I have found with most of my bosses that they have been weighed, they have been measured, and they have been found wanting.
Yeah, that's real talk. I have found the same with most of my bosses.
So the leadership equation is leadership equals vision times the quantity management plus mentorship. So, in order to be an effective leader, I mean, sure, oh, okay, well, you just need followers. Yes, but we are going to add a quality dimension to this. And what I'm going to say is you can tell the effectiveness of a leader based on these three variables. And the vision is a, you know, multiplicative of both your management and your mentorship, because your mentorship component is what allows you to develop your people, and your management allows you to make progress towards your goal, towards that vision.
Mhm.
So if your vision is weak, then one, your people won't want to follow you and you won't be able to get there. Um, and if your management is weak, then you're not going to make a whole lot of progress, even if you're like the best, mentor, even if your people become very skilled. If you can't, you know, hit a target, yeah, they might not stick around, or they might love you, but then eventually get frustrated because you're not going anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels.
Mhm.
So that's what the equation is. And so the question mark is, do you spend your time focusing on the vision? Do you spend your time focusing on the management or the mentorship? So the font pack is going to focus on the management component.
Mhm.
And we like this because, well, actually, there's a little bit of vision in there too. They've got the command module. I would say that's the real vision component.
Yeah.
Um, and then the management. So the next thing that we're looking at is the mentorship, which is my favorite. I
You're
love,
very good at it.
well, thank you. I love leveling up. I love role playing games. My life is a role playing game.
Hmm.
I'm tracking and measuring goddamn everything. I do it at life, I do it at work, and so this is what I am. This is who I am. It's what I do. And I love it. I remember I was tracking like my food. I tracked my food for like 10 years. Everything. And I would do grams, and then I would break it down by, macronutrients and calorie count. And even when I wasn't like trying to lose weight, I just like doing it and then looking at my stats every week.
Right?
Stats, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So, this habit has made me really effective at hitting targets.
Mhm.
Um, but what I realize is most people are really unclear about their targets. As a matter of fact, I had a call from Jake just today, and he was like, "Hey, man, I need help. I want to get a better job because my job sucks, and they're not treating me right." And I said, "Hey, man, you need a girl who treats you right." And so we're trying to help him out with that. And so he's like, "Okay, well, can you help me with this because, well, I feel kind of down. I don't really know what to do next. I feel like an idiot because I see these other idiots who have more success than me. It's really dumb. And here I am trying to figure things out. And I go to the gurus, to the internet, to the books, and there's just so much information. And he's like, I just wish somebody would put it into simple format and break it down for me." And I said,
Has
"Well,
Jake met you?
have you met me?" And he's like, "Yeah, could you just like put it in my ClickUp?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And so for the last hour, instead of doing my job, which is to run a 3-month analysis for one of our major vendors, um, I wrote a how-to guide to build Jake's marketing apparatus for his job hunt.
Because you are an awesome leader, mentor.
But what's funny about this too is I just used the same formats Well, actually, I mostly use the same format that I was doing for an analysis of our company's product portfolio. So we start with like the macro industry environment, then we zoom into the company with our business model canvas, where we're looking at essentially like key resources, activities, and partnerships, and then who are our customers and how are we getting to our customers, what's our value proposition, and then what's our cost and revenue structure. So now we're seeing the big picture company, and then we zoom down into our value prop for each individual product, and then we zoom down even further into what are our success metrics, KPIs, how do we know when we're succeeding or failing, whatever. So this was what I was working on this morning for the company. And I was like, oh well, this framework actually works really well for an employee too, because the only difference is, instead of a product market, you're in the labor market, and the employer just becomes the customer, and you become the vendor, or you treat yourself as the business. And so I started asking him just some prompting questions like, what are your what are the outcomes that your customer wants? What are the outcomes that the company wants? What are the outcomes, or what are the tasks? What are the jobs? What's the stuff that they put in the job description? And what are the roadblocks? What are the roadblocks, bottlenecks, pain points, friction? Why are they even hiring for this position? This is something I do with my mentees as well. And I actually thought about this, and it's like, oh, cool. Let me just copy this task list that I made for Jake, and then I can give it to my mentees when they're looking for jobs as well. Because my current mentee, who I'm just starting with now this week,
Okay.
um, he's a
Okay,
computer
right?
science kid, and I'm developing an offer package for my mentee. This kid's a sophomore. He's not even gonna know what to do with this thing, but I'm gonna be like, "You're welcome. I just gave you a lot of value, kid."
Right? It's so good. You just gave him the Murad experience.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I worry about things like that though, when you give somebody too much and they're not like ready for it. What are they, and they don't, because he's not going to know what to do with it. So I'm now thinking about, okay, what's the user experience? So maybe I've given him, too much product. How do I, downgrade it so he knows how to use this thing? Um, but for Jake, I gave him a strategy doc, boom, boom, boom. Here's how you look at your 5 year, 1 year, 90 day, so that you can work your way up to those goals in increments. Then I gave him a marketing a marketing plan that is basically what is it? Your your root network. Oh, so this is the three things. It's network, portfolio, resume, and in that order, in terms of value, in how you're gonna get a job. So if you have a network contact, somebody that knows, likes, and trusts you, they're more likely to get you into a position, even if your resume sucks. They might just throw the resume out and be like, oh yeah, yeah, we know this guy is good, he's in. Portfolio is the next highest value, and so your portfolio is going to be, what are projects that you've done. I actually really like the PMP, project management professional application, because it's a really nice framework for how to talk about a project that you've completed. And
Mhm.
then the resume, I gave him kind of an employment history form that he can fill out, that he can now take anytime he applies to a job, and it'll show job description, what tasks, again, jobs to be done, and then a breakdown of key accomplishments. So this is what I tend to put on my resume, is I put accomplishments, not just like I did this thing or this is what the job required. I like to
Mhm.
give the I like to give him the highlights, the highlight reel,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
you know. Um, yeah, and he's got the root network. So I basically said, hey, 550, 100, and that'll give you 155 people that you can reach out to and follow up with and say, hey, you got anything? Um, and then now he's got a marketing list that he can deploy and approach folks. And um, yeah, I just set him up with a how to get hired package.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
So, without further ado,
it.
this is the mentorship. Well, so here we go. This was it, right? We talked about the leadership equation, vision, management, and then the mentorship. So, what I'm doing is with my college mentees is figuring out how do I develop them up, but then how do I manage the project from start to finish? And what I just outlined was exactly what I did for a friend of mine, um, and how I'm trying to apply this, sort of consulting mindset to my mentees, to my friends, to my actual consulting clients. So you guys just got a little taste of that. But what we wanted to talk about was what mentorship is from the ground up, which starts with the BIDAR chain. And I keep going back to this, and I made an article about this once upon a time. But I feel like I'll never stop talking about it
Oh,
because what it is it's a cycle of how all results come into being.
so
Boom.
it's super relevant all of the time.
Exactly. So, BIDAR stands for belief, interpretation, decision, action, result. And this is the base framework for creating anything. Um, and I go back to this because that's all human development. But most people tend to focus only on the action or the decision or the interpretation. Um, and I get a little worried because when I go to the belief layer, people say, "Oh, mindset. It's just mindset." I think mindset is the new word or the word that people use now when they want to talk about belief without sounding religious.
It's very
Um,
fuzzy.
yeah. How did we get onto this topic with the Tao Te Ching, which we're about to get into? We're going to do the Tao of Exorcise.
So we got into the Tao this weekend because you were explaining to me the layers of your vision and subtext versus context. And you were saying how you see subtext first, or you need the subtext to fully understand the text and context. And you were like, the Tao Te Ching is an amazing example of subtext. And you were like, because you were showing me some diagram and you were like, this is the subtext. And I was like, oh, I don't get it at all. And I feel really, really lost and I feel really silly. And then you were like, well, no, let me now put a text or a context example in and then you'll understand. Then we started talking about how you see things and the breadth of your vision. And you were like, here's another great example.
Thank you. For also talking because I was like I choked on my
I
drink.
know. I saw, I was like, no.
Uh, um,
You were quick on that mute button, though. We didn't hear any of that.
yeah. This comes from lots and lots of Teams calls. So this is funny. I'm gonna show my thesis formula. So this is what I do for funsies is I will take notes on YouTube videos. And
Yay!
so I did a 10-minute YouTube video on how to write thesis paragraphs or how to write a good thesis for your essay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was writing with Andrew, whom I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this formula where it's A because B, because A prime yields C, therefore B. Um,
So that
and
is literally what you showed me first. And I was like, oh no, I don't get it. I'm lost.
And so here I am, and I was just like, oh my God, this equation makes so much sense. I was so excited by this equation. And Aaron's looking at me like, what? What are you
Like,
talking
I
about?
was like,
And so then I read it and I was like, oh no, let me just explain it. A is the proposed solution, B is the desired outcome, and C is a direct consequence of A. So A is the proposed solution to achieve the desired outcome B. C is the reason that A will achieve B. And so you must show the connections between A and C and B and C to make a logical and compelling thesis. Obvi.
mm-hmm.
And then
And I
she's
was
like,
like, I'm sure that's correct.
and so then I said, okay, well here's an example. And so I said, okay, A is what I'm arguing for, right? So in an argumentative essay, then this is the argument or the main claim that I want to make. And then I say, okay, the B thing is the outcome. So A, subscribe to VUDAD, subscribe to Household Mojo, right? Because outcome, you will become a better parent. Because by subscribing to Household Mojo or VUDAD, you will gain access to essays on parenting and tools and digital products to help you become a better leader. Therefore, you know, those things will help you become a better parent. So this is the thesis that I'm using for Household Mojo, which, the essays, the podcast, the products, all of this stuff is to help people become better parents. And so by subscribing, then this is what you get. And so I'm trying to like make this list of all of the things that you're going to get. So, how do I increase variable C, right? So long as variable C contributes to making you a better parent, B, variable B. And so, what is the action that I want you to do? I want you to subscribe because that'll get you there. So, it's funny too because like I'm making this product and I'm just like talking about making the product. I feel it feels very meta.
Huh?
Um, but we're having a conversation about this. And for me, I was like, this is why I get so frustrated so frequently. It's because I understand things at the subtextual level, while most people go text, then context in order to get it. And they're like, oh, it clicks. Right. But then even when the text and context click, they don't know how to express subtext.
Mhm.
Subtext then is like math or physics, which is the fundamental abstraction of the principle.
It's our mascot.
Hello, mascot. He fleeth as it were a shadow. Um, so this subtextual understanding, however, is philosophical in nature, it's mathematical in nature, and what I've learned is of the 10 somatic senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, temperature, pain, kinesthesiology, timing, and intuition. Intuition is really just the sense of um, your all of your senses interpreting the environment around you and basically doing a Google search of what it thinks the next logical outcome is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that pattern recognition and prediction engine is actually a sense, and that's my probably my greatest sense. Because and I mean that's why I'm good at what I do. But at the same time, that's why I am frequently incomprehensible to normal people. So, because most people come to understandings through text and context, and I come to most understandings through subtext, I get really excited when I see a formula or a framework or an abstraction. And once I have that abstraction, one thing, 10,000 things, I can apply it to something.
Mhm.
And I'm frustrated because I can clearly see a solution to a problem and nobody will do the solution because I can't yet convince them that like they why they should do it, because I have to fill in that context layer for them. So this is why I spend so much time drawing pictures and doing diagrams and things, because now we have um, a shared thing that we can look at, and I can say, here's the, here's step one, step two, step three, and then, you can overlay any example that you want onto it. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
what about this example? Well, here's how this would work. Oh, well, what about this one? Here's how this would work. So what that corresponds to is subtext. And all of this to say, we got into looking at the Tao Te Ching because that is a book of pure subtext. I used to read this book every year, often multiple times a year, and it is all about dichotomies, right? The interplay between opposites, and it's so prevalent in the first chapter. And so we just went and got a copy of the PDF and we looked at this, and
Now, when you say chapter, it turns out each chapter is like a verse, a
it's a
16
verse.
bar. Yeah.
Yes. And so what what we came up with was actually pretty great because he outlines largely my belief structure about the nature of the universe in the first verse.
In
So
16 lines.
I'm gonna read this and then we're gonna take a little deep dive. So chapter one, the Tao Te Ching, Tao, the way that can be spoken of is not the constant Tao. The name that can be named is not a constant name. Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Thus, the constant void enables one to observe the true essence. The constant being enables one to see the outward manifestations. These two compared, or I'm sorry, these two come paired from the same origin. But when the essence is manifested, it has a different name. This same origin is called the profound mystery. As profound, the mystery as it can be, it is the gate to the essence of all life.
Really light reading.
So when you read that, you might be like, oh, wow. What does that mean? That's so deep. Oh, word.
As soon as you read it to me, I was like, what was the first thing I said to you? I was like, I know already I would have to read that like two or three more times before I could begin to verbalize what I think it means.
Yeah. And so then we just sat there and I broke it down line
Mhm.
by line. And oh, it's never as good the second time around. But I'm gonna make an attempt
Yeah,
to see if I can, do the
do
do
the
a
thing.
repeat. So the Tao, the way that can be spoken of, is not the constant Tao. The name that can be named is not a constant name. So this whole concept is, you look at what the thing itself is versus the label that we put on top of it, right? So if you don't know how to speak language, right? Let's say that you're a hunter gatherer caveman, your name is Grog, right? You don't even shit, you don't, your name isn't even Grog, you don't even have a name, right? And you just grew up in this village making grunts and noises at people. You're basically a gorilla. And you get the things based on, I point at the thing that I want, and oh yeah, 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 and then, oh, I want the food. This state of being without language, without labels, is the natural state of the universe, right? The material universe. And so the Tao is in reference to the natural way of the universe without our human subjective verbal labels placed onto it, right? The name that can be named is not a constant name, because as soon as you put a label on something, you're confining it to a box that is your interpretation of the thing, right? The name Aaron is, finite, but it doesn't express all of the, wonder, beauty, mystery, functionality that is Aaron the person. It's just a label that we've put onto something infinitely more complex.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, you are.
Oh.
Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. This is what I refer to as the living universe and the material universe. So, Earth is the material universe, as in like the physical, observable, reproducible, empirical stuff, right? But then heaven in this context is the life force, right? So
Mhm.
this is the interaction between living things, right? And the named is the mother of all things. So when we name something, now we can manipulate it. Now we can play with it, interact with it. It becomes tangible to us. It's not just a thing in the universe to our minds.
Yeah.
Thus, the constant void enables one to observe the true essence. The constant void is the unknown. It's everything that you don't know. So there's the known world, the known and the unknown. The realm of the unknown, like light creating shadow, is only possible by the existence of the known is only possible by the existence of the unknown, because it separates the two, right?
Mhm.
Actually, this whole one verse is basically what Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning is about. Is he's talking about how the known and the unknown have an interplay, and how we still have to interact with the unknown. And the things that, when they say, oh, what you don't know can't hurt you, that's some bullshit.
Mhm.
Because what we don't know is legion compared to what we do know. And we make all of our errors in behavior, judgment, observation, even because we don't understand what forces are at play in our lives and are impacting us.
Mhm.
And so I say that science is the dealing with the known and bringing unknown phenomena into the known. And religion is the prescriptive that teaches you what to do with the known and unknown. Because science is essentially just telling you what is, whereas religion tells you what ought to be. And so, what we ought to and what we mustn't do are all subjective. And that's the realm of religion, that's the realm of heaven. Whereas science and the observational world is the realm of earth
Mhm.
by this guy 2,000 freaking years ago.
Mhm.
So, the constant being enables, okay, so he says, the constant void enables one to observe the true essence. The constant being enables one to see the outward manifestations. So the juxtaposition of the void, the unknown, and the being, the known, and not just known versus unknown, objective versus subjective. The objective, right, material universe allows you to observe what is alive and what is inert, right?
Mhm.
So the being, the self, the living being can see the outward manifestations of all of mother nature, right? The living and heaven and earth, the living and the material universe. So you only have this once you gain consciousness.
Mhm.
These two compared for, as if from the same origin, right? As in, you don't have light and if you don't have shadow, or you don't have shadows without light. You don't have, uh, they're inextricably linked because one creates the other.
Mhm.
But when the essence is manifested, it has a different name. So this is essentially when a person becomes alive, right? So we have this as living things. We go from being unalive, as in like, oh, we're a sperm cell, right? To being alive, as in we are conscious of the world, we are able to feel pain, we are a living thing, and then we die, and then we just become meat sacks again, right? So when the essence is manifested, we are now a different thing than we are when we are dead. So the essence here is like the soul. When you have a soul that is put into a thing, or a spirit that is put into a body, we change the name of that thing because it's no longer just an inert cadaver, a body. It is a person now, right?
Mhm.
This same origin is called the profound mystery. As profound the mystery as it can be, it is the gate to the essence of all life. Just having this understanding of the interplay between the material and the living universes that are inextricably linked, right?
Mhm.
That is the essence, the gate to the essence of all life. If you understand this principle, you understand all things about life. And he starts this shit in chapter 1.
I mean, unbelievable.
Who'd
Also,
have thought?
this guy lived 2,000 years ago, and how old was he when he wrote this?
Yeah, 4th century BC. Oh, I have no idea how old he was.
But I mean, here's this man in what we would now look on as incredibly primitive times and circumstances, very rudimentary, functional lifestyles, no technology or whatever. And this man had this type of insight about the workings of the world and the greater universe around him. And here
And
we
he
are
derived all this stuff from first principles.
2,000 years later, still as a species, all individually trying to come to grips with these same things.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And so what is this? What does it mean? What does it mean?
I'm going to
Um,
grab my water while you tell the people what it means.
okay. This is basically my belief about technology. So there's a really I think it's a strange phenomenon that we experience in the world today where um, where we judge past history by our present moral standards. We're like, oh, those people were such horrible murderers back then, and it's like that was normal for them. More murder, like if you did a murder, but you did like, well, but I didn't kill his family. Like that's oh okay, yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Like
And whether or not murdering was considered morally ambiguous, they might have at the time been like, yeah, it's not great to kill somebody, but it's perfectly acceptable under these circumstances. That is the price that you
right, and
pay.
it's like, well, he couldn't defend himself. I had the bigger stick, and so I took his shit.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing. We go back 2000 years and we see the explosion of Abrahamic religion, and it's like, yo, these guys didn't know to like do any of this shit. Like okay, the 10 commandments, right? If you take out you know don't at me, Christian folk. I'm not. dismissing. I'm just saying, if you remove what, like three of the first three, and you look at, four through 10, they're basically like, don't murder people, don't cheat or steal your neighbor's wife, like,
Don't covet. Like,
yeah, like, don't steal shit. Like, I feel like this is pretty basic, like, house rules for
we
us.
we think it's basic now
Yeah.
because we live in civilized modern society.
Yeah. So, the first three are basically, don't don't trust those other gods. They're wicked tricks. Um, and then the rest are, be good. So here we go. Honor your mother and father. Hey, be good to your parents. Cool. Don't kill people. Don't commit adultery. Don't steal things. Don't lie to screw somebody. Don't throw people under the bus, right? Um, don't steal your neighbor's wife. And don't lust after your neighbor's stuff.
These are great community standards.
I mean,
Like,
that's
here's how we live in close proximity with each other without it all devolving into madness.
that's like, that is not crazy. Like, those are not crazy things. Like, if you're like, oh, religion is bad, and like, oh, Christianity just want to rule the world, and it's like, listen, man, they're basically saying don't lie, cheat, and steal. Like,
Right?
that's the foundation.
It's
Like,
literally be a good neighbor.
yeah, this is how to be a good neighbor. So, what I see morality as is just another type of technology. So when we think of technology, we tend to think of like mechanical digital technology, which I would say is the human instinct for biomimicry and assimilation, which our natural instinct is to become cyborgs. And sure enough, we make simulacra of things that we see in the natural world. So what are we doing now is, that I would call mechanical technology, and that's on the earth side. And then on the heaven side, or on the living universe side, we have moral technology. And this has come about through philosophers from, you know, Moses to Plato to Socrates and Lao Tzu and Confucius, all of these guys, right? Um, we're seeing all of these things, but they're moral technologies that we had to discover. It's like saying, "Oh, well, we got more." So what was it, the women's march that happened? They're like, we had more people than the Million Man March, and I was like, yeah, but you also had the internet. Like, bro, MLK didn't have, the internet. He was just like calling people and like
Right?
writing letters
Knocking
and
on
shit.
doors. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
We didn't
we,
have that kind of
we
outreach.
pounded on a bunch of people's doors, in
We're
in
like, do you want to
groups.
walk to Alabama?
You know, we wrote
Yeah.
we wrote letters to influential people to get them
Yeah.
to come. You just like put out a couple of tweets,
Hmm.
bruh. So
Different scene.
the technology difference makes the achievement seem a lot less profound, right? So yes, you got more people, but you also had a force multiplier.
Mhm.
This is the same with technology. Before Moses showed up and was like, hey, probably don't kill and steal, it's just kind of like what we did, you know? We think, oh, well, humans are naturally these good, brilliant, wonderful creatures who only have benevolent.
Benevolence. Yeah.
Nah, man. Nah, kids are so pure. No, kids are not pure. They eat their own boogers.
They're
They shit
mean.
on themselves. Like, they'll hit
They're mean
stuff
and
and steal
disgusting.
stuff. Yeah. Children are babies are gremlins. They start out as little parasitic gremlins.
Hmm.
You know, they
Hmm.
only become good, when you instruct them on this moral technology.
Hmm.
Hmm. That it took philosophers thousands of years to understand well enough to communicate. And we got lucky that these folks had language to write it down, to transmit it to us over time.
Right.
And so if you are a leader and you are not versed in the moral technology of belief with respect to the living universe, i.e., the interaction between people and other living things, then you are going to struggle to lead. If you're a parent who is trying to teach young people, because this is my approach to parenting. My job as a parent is actually to treat my child not as my friend, not as my subordinate, but as my apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
Our oldest is my second, and I think about him in those regards. Um, you know, what would I teach my understudy? What would I teach someone who is eventually to replace me as head of the household, right? I'm going to teach him all of the things that I know how to do. And allow him the flexibility to create his own way of doing these things. All right, here's the outcome, here's the job that we're trying to perform. And if you can find a better way with the tools that you have at your disposal, the technology that you had, great, go for it. And if you're an engineer, so to speak, of the material world, and you're able to use and wield the tools that our predecessors have created for us, and you can expand on those tools, right? Improving the mechanical technology. Oh fuck yeah, use it for that same outcome, and maybe you solve something that we couldn't, right, in our generation. That's
Mm-hmm.
the whole point, is to create progression, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
the same on the moral technology side. So it's like, oh, okay, I see what he was trying to do, but was unsuccessful at because he hadn't made that subtextual distinction, or we didn't know how to apply this like 2,000-year-old Lao Tzu quote to an era with AI and, fucking Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all this to say, one of the things that I really get um, jazzed about is the belief component of the BIDAR chain. Because if you have less effective beliefs, and Jim actually commented on my end of creativity article, and I think my response to him was something along these lines, was he's like, well, but this is an interesting concept. He's like, this is a really interesting concept of having better or worse beliefs, you know? And he said, well, what about different circumstances, right? And I was like, my analogy was like, yeah, a businessman probably shouldn't kill his competitor in the marketplace, but he might want to seriously consider killing the intruder who is armed invading his house, right? Same person, different situation, you know, different interpretation. And so I have like belief as like federal and state. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got your sort of globalized belief that is the base, code. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have our state, which are circumstance specific adjustments based on where we are. And each person, and this is what makes belief so complicated, it's because it is subjective, but also logical. And so someone's like, you're illogical, you're irrational. That's what you hear on the media all the fucking time. Oh, this person lied. And it's like, listen, maybe they didn't lie. Maybe they just didn't say the objective empirical truth, but maybe they just expressed what they thought at the time, or what they believed at the time. And so
Yeah.
if somebody believes it, it's not actually a lie, it's just false. So true false versus lie and deception, like that, you know, that's not the same. And I think what we've done is we've gotten really good at being cynical and throwing people under the bus and calling falseness lies, but one is an observation and the other is a judgment. True
Mhm.
false is an observation, lie is a judgment.
Yeah.
And I don't like this about our modern discourse. And what it tells me is it tells me that um, we we're not really thinking or using our moral technology. We've got thousands of years of this shit, and it's really good.
Mhm.
And we're not using it.
And it's because of the internet, one of those things that they didn't have back then. All of this information is like readily available and at our fingertips. We don't even have to go to the library anymore. It's right there. It's probably on your phone in your pocket.
Yeah. And so we would rather use the casino function on our phone and go gambling rather than use the moral technology component to actually improve the quality of our lives and those of the people around us. The fuck?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So um I want to end on thing. And by the way, Aaron, I feel like you talked a lot in the last one and I've just been nonstop on this one. Um
That's really good though.
yeah, I should. Yeah, I was on a roll.
You were on a roll. You were on
I was
fire.
on
It
a
was
roll.
great. It was
Okay.
great.
Um, I wanted to end with King Arthur.
Okay.
So we we like to do family movies. And I feel like if we don't, these kids are only gonna watch like trash. I'm so bearish on
Short form content.
the state of movies in the modern era.
Yeah.
It's whack. His hair, whack. His gear, whack. His foot stance, whack. Me, I'm tight as fuck.
Real talk.
Um, King Arthur. What we do when we watch these movies is we reflect,
Mhm.
and this is going to be in my my article that comes out on this week. Is we reflect at the end of our movies, and I ask the kids, you know, what'd you like? You know, what about the characters? What'd you think? But then I gotta slide in with that subtext, and I say, I ask questions about theme. You know, um, our oldest is reading The Once and Future King, which is like the T.H. White, um, what is it? King Arthur story. The one that the Sword in the Stone is largely based off of. Um, and and there's like three books to the book. And the first and the sort of lessons that come from those are might makes right, is kind of what he learns in the beginning because you know he's a squire, and his big burly knight that he squires for is he's just a strong idiot who pushes people around and gets what he wants, you know. And so he learns might makes right. And then eventually he's like, oh, yeah, this is not really good. And so he says, I should use my strength for good. And then the final thing is the final book is, well, actually, I can't discern what's good or not. Only God can. And so we will use our might for God. But all of the knights fail at this except Galahad, who basically ascends on a cloud.
I mean,
So for the rest of us, we're just going to have to do our best and do it for good. But in the King Arthur movie that we saw, which was The Legend of the Sword, which is a Guy Ritchie film, I fucking love Guy Ritchie films.
love. Love it.
And
This movie is amazing.
I
Charlie Hunnam
love.
as Arthur, supreme.
Can I finish having my my Guy Ritchie boner, please?
Mhm.
Thank
Mhm.
you. Um, I love British gangster films. My favorite movies, top three: The Legend of 1900, Revolver, and The Illusionist. Um, and Revolver is a Guy Ritchie film about, and it's like it didn't get good reviews. Maybe it came out at the wrong time. It was like it went over people's heads, but it was really about people getting sucked into their illusions and their FUD, or their emotional um, baggage, controlling them. The devil, right? Who's the devil? The devil is the most insecure part of you that is controlling your life. It's about moral technology. And the protagonist moves from someone who is trying to stick it to the guys who stuck it to him, to someone who understands more about the nature of the world and humbles himself before all of those people, so he can be free of that vindictiveness. God, I really need to watch that movie again. But in King Arthur, it's the Tao. King Arthur movie, if you haven't seen it, go see it. I'm going to spoil it. King Arthur movie is about the rise and fall of power. I asked the boys, I said, what is the King Vortigern? He's the bad king, and he keeps wanting to build his tower. Right? Well, why does he want to build the tower? So that he can be the most feared of all of the people. And he's like, because I'm intoxicated by fear. He wants fear more than he wants love. And this is the Machiavelli quote, right? Is it better to be loved or feared? And he says the clever man would say both. But if you can only pick one, it's better to be feared than loved, because love is fickle and fear will keep people in line. Ha ha. Woo. And that is where Vortigern is. But you know what? Arthur is also in this position where he's thinking, man, I don't want the power at all. I just want my friends. I just want to love and be loved and have the people I care about and be surrounded by them. And Vortigern is like he's so insecure because he can't make Arthur afraid of him. And so he goes to ridiculous lengths to try and instill fear in this guy. And what it ends up doing is just pissing him off and making him stronger. And at the end, he says, you know what it was? You asked me what it was that drove me, what it was that made me who I am. And he said, it was you. You just kept fucking with me. And all of that pain that you put me through made me a hardy motherfucker. And you gave me the requisite strength to defeat you. And so sic semper tyrannis, thus always to tyrants. The tyrant always fails because they create the mechanism of their own destruction. That is the Tao. As the evil grows, so too does the force that can become its opposition. And so that is actually my love letter, my optimism for the modern world. If you are afraid and feeling that everything is in crisis and uncertainty and everything sucks, have hope. Because of this suckiness, something is growing in opposition to it. Because that is how heaven and earth, the living and the material universe operate in a dichotomy of constant ebb and flow.
Beautiful.
Got anything?
Nope, I think that's a great place to leave it.
All righty.
Yeah.